Tuesday, July 29th, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich, almost 2 o'clock California time. We have major bearish reversals today. In the S&P 500, SPY, in the QQQ, and the NQ NASDAQ futures. You'll see in a moment. Now, the spider was not able to have, or the E-mini, I'm sorry, a higher high today than yesterday, so today's down day, and it wasn't severely dramatic, only a couple of points, but nevertheless, you'll see some bearish engulfing red bars on other indexes, which is what I've been waiting for 2 or 3 weeks. I wished some of the other indexes did the same thing, but you don't get what you wish for all the time. But this is good, very good. So we're starting to come out of overbought conditions. Overbought conditions are getting to the ES, and I'm looking for a dip down at a minimum to 62.68. Next, the 1-minute chart just shows you the break that basically started at 6:30 California time on the opening of the regular market session, traditional, until the 1 o'clock traditional close California time. Next, we have a bearish engulfing ER sell signal on the SPY. It does have an official sell signal. Now, I'd like to tell you that this is going to create a very, very high probability that the market's going to go down a sizable chunk. I can honestly tell you that it does create a very good likelihood, and you're more than welcome to look at all the signals that we have had over the 2.5 years plus that I've been doing this, almost 700 YouTube's recordings, the market analysis recordings, and see for yourself. But this should be, I think, the beginning of the break. Now, the break is going to come down, in my opinion, to 613 and maybe even lower. And it's going to probably take a very short period of time because I'm guessing there's going to be some political whatever and some new news about, obviously, the tariffs. So, stretching out a few things here, there's a gap to close down here. That's good. And this is probably the fastest I'll expect it to drop to. I'll do this later. Next, 1 minute, and you can see the trade that the ER1 made today because it had an outside down day. The green line is representing the trade profit. Next, daily data on the QQQ. We show the bearish engulfing, sell signal, red. I've got it finally. I am expecting a move down to at least the support area. I'll call it 51.40. Yeah, that'll work. And there's a gap to close. So that's highly likely also. And I can't rule out lower. Here is the very small loss because the low today was not much lower than yesterday's low. Therefore, the ER1 scalp lost a little bit. Pretty small. Very, very small, actually. Hardly anything. Next, we have the bearish engulfing on the NASDAQ futures. This is going to be about the same result. Actually, the study didn't catch it, so I have no trade line, so to speak, to show. But it would have gone short right about here when it got below yesterday's lows and had a little bit of a loss to the close probably. Yeah, about that. Right about like that. Next, we have the YM, no bearish engulfing. Some people would like to say it's a minor double top over about a 3 or 4 week period. I'll buy that or sell that. We did have a bearish engulfing on the first high of the 2 highs, and that's interesting. So I think it's going to start going down. First objective is to break below 43,972 and then probably get to 43,477. Next, you can see the 1 minute starting around, 5 o'clock a.m. California time, started to dip down. And again, this is the futures contract, the YM, so it trades 23 out of 24 hours. Next, we have the Russell, new lows for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. New low close for about 5 days. That's a good sign. It's starting to coming down, starting to come down. Now I want it to drop down into, on a closing basis, this red support area. Next move down, 21.98 and lower. So here's the break in the Russell, starting at around the opening of the regular session, 6:29, 6:30 in the morning, and stabilizing around 10 o'clock almost. I meant 9 o'clock. So it didn't make any new lows after that. But the big break was relatively quick, a few hours. Next, we now have bonds. Great. This small head and shoulder bottom is working perfectly. The low I pinned on July 24th has been, now that we've broken out on a big up day, classic upside breakout, textbook example, that low is the last shoulder low on a relatively small head and shoulder bottom that started with the first shoulder on July 8th. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, a week, until the bottom, which was oversold at support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days later is exactly symmetrical, perfect. Neckline is very slightly downward slanted, also classic. And the neckline was broken today. I would have loved to see a bullish engulfing green, but we didn't get oversold, blah, 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 so I don't have one. But the breakout is absolutely great. For the small pattern of only 2 or 3 weeks, the minimum upside objective is 116.19. Now, that's significant, because if we get there, you're breaking the neckline on a much bigger pattern where the small one is the last shoulder on the bigger one, with the head over here, May 22nd, and the first shoulder over here, you could say April 9 and or April 11, 1 day earlier and later than April 10th. That's the shoulder. 2 days worth instead of 1. Usually they're 1. And that pattern now has an objective up of 122.23, almost 124. Almost 123 or higher. Now, if we get to 123, you will be making new highs. Whoops, just a moment. For a much longer period of time and having a potential much more profound breakout. So this is really, this last couple of weeks, the beginning, in my opinion, of a move of very, very substantial bullish potentials. I have to say, and I'm going to give you a number that I've been talking about off and on for many months, 145. That's the upside objective on a long 1 or 2 year basis. That's a very profound situation because it's the bond market. I don't think this is a relative line anymore, so I'm going to erase that. And we're going to rescale and reposition. Good. Perfect. Notes. Getting up into the resistance area. If bonds are going to do what I think they're going to do, notes are going to go up a hell of a lot also. Pretty simple. First objective, this recent high, 112.12. And then the next one is the major resistance area up here at about 114.12. And then higher. Okay, let's look at crude. We have a minor upside breakout. Very strong up day. Problem is we're almost oversold, almost overbought. So we could get up a little bit more, 70, 71, 72. Because of this bearish engulfing, I have to be bearish longer term. We're almost overbought. A little more rally would get overbought. Roll over maybe by the end of the week, maybe during next week, but not too much higher, and then start to come down again. Next, natural gas. This head and shoulder top so far is working just fine. Yesterday we had an oversold condition with new lows for the whole trend. So bouncing back up a little bit today is no big deal. In fact, the high today is the same as yesterday, the same as the day before, almost, and almost the exact high as the day before that, right smack dab at a resistance level. Perfect. Love it. Looking for a minimum downside objective of 1.1. Next, a little rally in heating oil doesn't mean too much. A new high close for 6 days or so, and a slightly higher high. But what happened here was it killed my bearish engulfing from last week, unfortunately. So that did not work. Period. We're flat. That negated that reversal. But the big one that happened on June 23 is still in force. At the moment, I really don't expect to see any higher highs above this rally high of 2.5. So I think it's going to roll over and go back down again very soon. Next, we've got gold. Nothing here to speak of, but doji. I think it could drop off a little bit more. 33.10 looks very viable, possible. 32.10 is not out of the question. Next, also silver. Not particularly important price action. I think we're still going to see a little bit lower levels. RSI doesn't help because it's very, very neutral at 48. I think we could dip back down a little bit more anyway to 37.77 to test support. But I don't think with the pressure that gold might apply, that silver is going to hold there. It's too close. And we stand a much better chance of getting down to 36.12 and holding at that level. Next, platinum. Well, new lows for a little while, couple, 3 weeks. Basically a steady close. I still think it's on the way down. And I'm looking for probably 1302. There's no particularly fantastic, well-defined area. Maybe 1355. Yeah, I'll put a little line in there. That does look pretty interesting. Right across that high. And you do have some other lows that are at the same level. Okay, next. High-grade copper had a bearish engulfing sell signal yesterday. Getting back up into approximately the middle of the range of the bearish engulfing is not abnormal at all. In fact, that generates a new short sale for ER3. And I expect it to come right back down from where it closed today. I'm not looking for any higher levels. My fail-safe stop is a tick above yesterday's high. Always a tick above the high of the engulfing. Depending upon your time frame of trading, obviously it'll be a lot lower, a lot quicker. Or if you're a longer-term trader, you might even leave that stop up there for a longer period of time, maybe even weeks. But that's not my style. Next, tested support. Soybeans. Kind of bounced off of it pretty decently. I wouldn't say great. Still a lower close. Not oversold. We might just bounce into this, drop down into the support area a little bit more. I'm not sure that the dip is over yet, but I do like the fact that it bounced off support fairly nicely, but no signals. Next, soybean oil is going up even more, like I said. Touched resistance very accurately, closed a little bit below it, overbought conditions again, one of my favorite combinations, coming up to resistance and overbought. This could be a minor rally high. We could dip back down to a little bit of support. That would probably be at 55.07. I think the trend is going to basically stabilize upwards, but Resistance and overbought tells me we're going to dip down a little bit. Not much, and not for very long. Next. Boy, oh boy, meal just can't make it. New low for a long time. Now it's going to get oversold again. We're almost there. So a little bit lower, turn yellow, oversold, bounce again. We'll see what happens. But meal just continues to look bearish. And I'm afraid wheat's going to look the same way. And we'll see what corn, oh boy. Corn also broke into new low ground. Didn't hold. Bearish, looking for lower levels. And wheat, all three of them, dropped into new low ground, closed a new low ground for quite a while, couple, 3 months or something. Almost hit new lows, not quite oversold. What can I say? Support's not holding. It tried, looking for lower levels. Now, Shell went up a little bit more. Possible minor double top over a month. Still has a gap to finish closing. It closed part of it. Not overbought. Maybe it can get up to this resistance level around the previous highs in late March. That was March 27th. But I can't be super bullish. Next, just a little bit. Then maybe we're going to get overbought and turned down. So Apple turned down today, almost overbought, and it was a few days ago, but just barely, not much. But we did get a bearish engulfing, yay, on July 7th, and it is the highest high so far. And we're now closing a new low close for about 6 days or so, and below the lows of 6 days or so as well. I think we're heading down to the support at 198. Next, inside doji, lower close, Tesla, stopping at a little resistance area, still inside this pennant. I think it's going to break out to the downside, and I think we're going to get all the way down to 214. There's an old gap to close here. And different support levels on the way down. So we got to break out of this pennant formation. And NVIDIA. Higher high, lower close, overbought. This could be a turn. No bearish engulfing. That would have turned red, but it's close. Let's see what happens when we come down to test the trend line and also test the recent low of 164. I think I'm turning bearish. I'm not sure. There's not enough evidence, but I certainly think a higher high in overbought condition with a lower close is not good. Next, E-mini again. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.